I still see things in his work in every circumstance that I look at it that I never saw before. Details, nuances of color, playful things. I like his work. It's rational, and it's warm-hearted too. It's not just geometric abstraction. He saw each media as a finished area, a finished work. If you look through all the different media, in each of the media he maximized its inherent strengths. The paintings obviously emphasize color and structure and were always the final or most major picture he did. The prints are the most graphic, the stronger. He had this ability with French lithograph studios to make absolutely exquisite prints with really strong, solid blacks and strong, solid colors. The works on paper were a much more delicate and still refined expression. He liked to talk about the fact that with a composer, they might write a symphony or they might write a string quartet. And for the painter, the painting was like the symphony and the drawing was like the string quartet, but they're both finished, completed efforts. But what we did this time that had never been done before was transfer a lot of original footage that had never been cut or seen. Ralston shot about 50,000 feet of 16mm film during the last decade or decade and a half of his life. And a lot of that was never made into anything finished. So the really beautiful thing about this particular situation is Ralston was a really good photographer, and he took really good film equipment, Arriflex and Bolex and good Zeiss lenses and so on, and returned to a lot of the locations that he photographed and shot 16mm film carefully with good tripod, good fluid head, and so on. And so what we have is Ralston shooting with his eye, framing things. He wasn't hiring a cameraman and getting someone else to do it. And so that gives us the opportunity to see his selection process, his framing, his movement of the camera and so on, his way. And so including that footage, where you see footage of actual locations that show up in the photographs and the drawings and the paintings and prints, you actually see that a lot of the things that look very abstract are not actually abstract. They're actually just subsets or selected parts of things he saw out in the real world. He pushed the envelope. He took risk. He liked the challenge of seeing what he could do making pictures. There's a thing about Ralston's work that's very much in your face. It's like, here's a picture. You want a picture? Here's a picture. And it's not necessarily soothing. It's not necessarily easy. That's a painting called Seville at the Cathedral. And it's one of the late paintings from the Holy Week processions in Seville. On first glance, it might look like a very abstract work. But if you look at the photographs of the hooded figures and think of the robes they're wearing and the parade, the processions, the flowing, the movement, the weight, they carry these large floats on their shoulders that are very heavy. There's a very literal, direct relationship between those forms and those colors to those events. And if you look at some of the photographs here, or the etchings that are next to the painting, or other paintings of the same subject matter, which there are a couple of others here, it becomes very literal, but it's distilled. You know, in many of these paintings, if you photograph the whole painting and then start cropping in and photographing details, you see that almost any detail has as much structure and strength as the whole does. And I have to remember that I have this very close proximity to this work. It's work that I know, and I've had a lot of time to look at it. I think he was one of the best painters of the 20th century.